Hey everyone, Violet here, and I hauled like 60-ish books in August, so I'm going to talk about all of them, but we're going to split this up into a few parts because there's a lot of books to get through and it's a lot to read. So, yeah, let's get into it. So let's start with like my non-categories / historicals. So we'll start with some mystery books I got. We have The Alpine Advocate by Mary Daheim. I don't entirely know how to say this. This is the first book in the Emma Lord Cozy Mystery series. Okay, so murder hits the front page. With a full year as editor-publisher of The Alpine Advocate under her belt, Emma Lord feels fine about her move to this small town in the foothills of Washington's Cascade Mountains. But what the newspaper badly needs is a story, and Emma gets one in spades. Handsome Mark Ducasse, a son of rich old Nini Ducasse, is murdered, and the murderer is probably Nini's only other grandson, Black Sheep Chris. Even in a family that has never lacked for scandal, that's news. And Emma and her assistant, Vida, who is a walking encyclopedia of local secrets, make the most of it. So, what's fun about this series is that it's sort of got like alphabetical things. So this first one's like The Alpine Advocate, and the next one's like the B something or other. And she got through all of these. She started a sequel series to it doing a similar thing, and she, I think, died after the second book. So pour one out for Miss Ma'am. But yeah, I've been like trying to get more into cozies, so this seemed like a fun one to try. Speaking of cozies, we've got Olivia Waite's Murder by Memory. She is predominantly a historical romance author, probably most famous for The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics, which is a sapphic historical. She's written a lot of sapphic historicals. But this is her first like sci-fi mystery. So, very short, which is nice. Welcome to the Fairweather, Her Majesty's most luxurious interstellar passenger liner. Room and board are included, new bodies are graciously provided upon request, and should you desire a rest between lifetimes, your mind shall be most carefully preserved in glass in the library, shielded from every danger. Near the topmost deck of an interstellar generation ship, Dorothy Gentleman wakes up in a body that isn't hers, just as someone else is found murdered. Dorothy suspects her misfortune is partly the fault of her feckless nephew, Ruthie, or perhaps the sultry yarn store proprietor, and current suspect knows more than she's letting on. As one of the ship's detectives, Dorothy usually delights in unraveling the passengers' schemes, but with someone not only killing bodies, but purposefully deleting minds from the library, she realizes something more sinister is afoot. Someone has found a way to make murder on the Fairweather a very permanent state indeed. So, yeah, this sounds like super fun. I hadn't really come across much like it, so, I don't know, I'll probably read this one soon, because it's very short, so that's exciting. Okay, then we've got the first two books for Charlotte and Thomas Pitt, which is a historical mystery series by Anne Perry. We have The Cater Street Hangman and Calendar Square. I actually just read this one this week. And it's interesting. It's interesting. Like this book came out in the 70s, and I feel like historical mysteries are like a very different genre now than they were at the time, so it was kind of interesting to read this one. Anyway, the thrilling first novel in Anne Perry's engaging series in which Inspector Thomas Pitt meets his future wife and sleuthing partner. So they just spoil it on the back that they get together in this book, but that's okay. While the Ellison girls are out paying calls and drinking tea like proper Victorian ladies, a maid in their own household is strangled to death. Quiet young Inspector Thomas Pitt finds no one above suspicion, and his investigation at the staid Ellison home causes many a composed facade to crumble into far from elegant panic. But it is not panic that beats in the heart of pretty Charlotte Ellison, and something more brutal than murder is on Inspector Pitt's mind.
Yet such a romance between a society girl and so unsuitable a suitor is impossible in the midst of an investigation. Or is it? Okay, so that was the first one. Very interesting. Like, way more points of view than, like, is clear in the blurb. Kind of dark as well, so maybe check your content notes on this one? I don't know. And then we've got the sequel, the second book, Calendar Square. I love this cover, by the way. I think it's so pretty. Murders just don't happen in fashionable areas like Calendar Square, but these two have. The police are totally baffled. Pretty young Charlotte Ellison Pitt, however, is curious. Inspector Pitt's well-bred wife doesn't often meddle in her husband's business, but something about this case intrigues her, to the point that staid Charlotte Pitt is suddenly rattling the closets of the very rich, seeking out Baxter's gossip that would shock a barmaid and unearthing truths that could push even the most proper aristocrat to murder. So this was like a very long series. Anne Perry is also sadly no longer with us, but this series did get completed, and the sequel series is where she died. I think she died in 2022, so pour one out for Anne Perry. Okay, now we've got a couple of contemporaries. We have Love is a War Song by Danica Nava. Avery Fox's Rolling Stone cover was supposed to be a statement of her success as a Native American pop singer. Instead, it has turned her into a national joke. With threats coming from every direction and her career at a standstill, she escapes to her estranged grandmother Lottie's ranch in Oklahoma. Living on the res is new to Avery. Not only does she have to work in the blazing summer heat to earn her keep, but the man who runs Lottie's horse ranch despises her. Red Fox Ranch has been home to Lucas Iron Eyes since he was 16 years old. He has lived by 3 rules to keep himself out of trouble. 1, preserve the culture. 2, respect the horses. And 3, stick to himself. When he discovers Lottie's granddaughter is the Avery Fox, he knows she'll bring nothing but trouble. Lucas can't stand what she represents, but when he's forced to work with her on the ranch, he can't get her out of his sight or his head. He reminds himself to keep to his rules, especially after he finds out the ranch is under threat of being shut down. It's clear Avery doesn't belong here, but they form a tentative truce and make a deal. Avery will help raise funds to save the ranch, and in exchange, Lucas will show her what it really means to be an Indian. It's purely transactional, absolutely no horsing around, but where's the fun in that? So, she is, I think they're both Muskegee. So Danica Nava is an indigenous romance author, one of the very few out there. So, when I saw this, I had to pick it up. So yeah, it sounds cute and fun. Like, I've been trying to read cowboy books that don't give me I don't know, cowboys aren't really my thing, but like, maybe indigenous cowboy will be my thing. And then we've got Not That Kind of Guy by Andy J. Christopher. This is part of a series. I think it's about siblings. I think there are 3 books in the series. I've never read her. This was at like the little free library at my work, so I was like, you know what? Might as well try it. So, an office attraction becomes something more when they're off the clock in this delightful romantic comedy. State attorney Bridget Nolan is successful in all aspects of her life, except romance. After breaking up with her longtime boyfriend, she's been slow to re-enter the dating scene. To be honest, she has more important things to do, like putting bad guys behind bars. But when her brother's wedding, with her brother's wedding right around the corner, she suddenly needs a date, and fast. Lucky for Bridget, the legal intern is almost done with his program. Matt Kiddo is dumbstruck by Bridget, total love at first sight. But there's one problem. She's totally off limits while she's his boss. But the moment he no longer reports to her, Matt decides to take a chance. An impulsive decision leads them to Vegas where, as the saying goes, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unless you put a ring on it. Oh my god, do they wake up married in Vegas? Well, that's fun. That's really fun. I love that because it's always ridiculous. Okay, so, moving to our more, I guess, fantastical stuff. We have it's just Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is the second and final book in the Crimson Moth series. Got this for in-person Romantasy Book Club. I read the first one last month, actually really liked it. So this blurb is going to contain spoilers for book 1. So if you don't want that, just skip to the next book. Okay, A witch. Rune Winters is on the run. Ever since the boy she loved, Gideon Sharp, revealed her true identity and delivered her into enemy hands, everyone wants her dead. If Rune hopes to survive, she must ally herself with the cruel and dangerous Cressida Roseblood, who's planning to take back the Republic and reinstate a reign of witches, something Cressida needs Rune to accomplish. A witch hunter. Apparently, it wasn't enough for Rune to deceive Gideon. She's now betrayed him by joining forces with the witch who made his life a living hell. But Gideon won't allow the Republic to fall to the witches and be plunged back into the nightmares of the past. In order to protect this new world he fought for, every last witch must die, especially Rune Winters. An impossible choice. When Rune makes Gideon an offer he can't refuse, the two must pair up to accomplish dangerous goals. The more they're forced into each other's company, the more Gideon realizes the feelings he had for Rune aren't as dead and buried as he thought. Now he's faced with a terrible choice. Sacrifice the girl he loves to stop a monster taking back power, or let Rune live and watch the world he fought so hard for burn. Ta-da. So, the stakes ended on a really high note in the first book, and seems like we're going to keep them high in this one, so that's exciting. Okay, so now we're moving into YA. So, I got this one myself because it's called Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. This is the back. So, I had a phase when I was younger that I was really into the Tinkerbell movies. Do not look up when those came out. Some of you, if you don't want to feel old, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, I was a teen when these were coming out, and I was really into them. Had a whole phase. And my favorite one was Secret of the Wings. And there's just like a lot of lore in it, and this is like expanding on that lore in like a prequel. So, before she was the queen of Pixie Hollow, she was a young fairy who had to choose between duty and her heart. It's been centuries since a warm season fairy has crossed into the winter woods, and while most fear the legends of monsters lurking in the frozen lands, Clarion can't help being intrigued by winter's stoic beauty. However, under the watchful eyes of the current monarch and the court's seasonal ministers, Clarion has little time to dwell on daydreams while the days to her coronation dwindle away. That is, until reports of a monster crossing from winter into spring make their way to the palace. Clarion sees defeating this threat as an opportunity to prove she is worthy of her new role. But instead of finding a monster at the edge of winter, she finds Mallory, a young guardian of the winter woods. Together, they form an unlikely bond as they race to save their lands. As their alliance warms to something more, they will discover there is a reason a warm season fairy and a winter fairy must not be together, and the cost could be just as deadly as the monsters that prowl the winter woods. Dun, dun, dun. So, yeah, I'm not gonna, yeah, so I purely got this off of, like, nostalgia. I was like, oh my god, I know exactly what this is referencing, and I want it. So, yeah, exciting. And, okay, so I have a coworker who used to work at Scholastic and therefore got a lot of books kind of inexpensively, and so, for my birthday, she remembered that I had brought this series up, so she got me the entire Raven Boys series. Well, there's like a book, there's like an novella in there that is like, I think, e-only, and there's a sequel series now, but I have all of the Raven Cycle books now. So, I'm gonna break my own rule here. Normally I read all the blurbs, but I feel like I'm gonna get spoiled if I do that, so I'm just gonna read the blurb of book 1, which I'm sure none of you have ever looked at before, because this is not a very popular series or anything. Okay. There are only 2 reasons a non-seer would see a spirit on St. Mark's Eve. Either you're his true love, or you killed him. Every year, Blue Sergeant stands next to her clairvoyant mother as the soon-to-be-dead walk past. Blue never sees them until this year, when a boy emerges from the dark and speaks to her. His name is Gansey, and he's a rich student at Aglionby, the local private school. Blue has a policy of staying away from the Aglionby boys. Known as Raven Boys, they can only mean trouble. But Blue is drawn to Gansey in a way she can't entirely explain. He is on a quest that has encompassed 3 other Raven Boys. Adam, the scholarship student who resents the privilege around him, Ronan, the fierce soul whose emotions range from anger to despair, and Noah, the taciturn watcher who notices many things but says very little. For as long as she can remember, Blue has been warned that she will cause her true love to die. She doesn't believe in true love and never thought this would be a problem. But as her life becomes caught up in the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, she's not so sure anymore. So, cool. Again, I think I should probably stop here if I don't want spoilers, but I will show off these covers because, oh my gosh, like, stunning. These are so pretty. So this is the Raven Boys. This is the Dream Thieves. This is Blue, Lily, Lily, Blue. And the Raven King. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to commit to trying these. I have no excuse now. I own all of them, so I gotta go for it. And she also got me, because I guess I've talked about reading historicals a lot. She got me this series. I think it's French Revolution set. So it's the Pale Assassin by Patricia Elliott and The Traitor's Smile. These are part of a series, but they're, I think, following different people. So, okay. So, The Pale Assassin. Spoiled, beautiful 14-year-old Eugenie de Boncoeur is accustomed to outrageous privilege, but as the French Revolution becomes increasingly violent, there is no place in her home country that is safe for her. And as soon as she is in the thick of turmoil and romance, confronting spies, secret agents, and double-crossing suitors in her quest to survive. The series is called The Pimpernel, so I can't escape Scarlet Pimpernel, okay? I read Scarlet Pimpernel last month, I read Heartless Hunter, which is Scarlet Pimpernel inspired, and now we've got a new Pimpernel series. So this is book 2. Okay. Is this a different person? Oh, no, this is the same person, or something. Eugenie, so I'm not gonna read this one. So yeah, those are what I got. I'd never heard of these. So excited to give these a shot. They sound fun. Okay, so that is all of the non-historical romances that I acquired. Next time we'll be doing those, and then on part 3 we'll be doing categories. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!